Scroggins, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge, Leveraging Influence When You Lack Authority. Embark on a journey to discover how to be an effective leader, regardless of your title or position. And How to Lead When You're Not in Charge, Leveraging Influence When You Lack Authority. Scroggins breaks the myth of positional authority and teaches how to cultivate influence and tap into your leadership potential. Through a combination of personal identity development, embracing ambition responsibly, and practicing good followership, you can demonstrate your leadership abilities even before you're officially in charge. Prepare to learn from the examples of some of the greatest history makers and revolutionize your approach to navigating workplace dynamics, as you unearth the power of influence and the true essence of leadership.
Leading without authority. Authority is not a prerequisite for leadership. Anyone can be a leader, regardless of their position. It's not about power, but about your willingness to take on challenges and cultivate influence. Great leaders don't need fancy titles, they inspire by example. Don't wait for an opportunity to lead, take the initiative to demonstrate your leadership abilities. Your identity determines your success. The book emphasizes that your identity plays a significant role in your decision-making, confidence, and relationships. It comprises 5 components: self in time, self in relationships, self-interior, self-agency, and self-determination. Rather than trying to be someone else, understand your identity to be consistent and confident with others. Upholding your moral authority is vital in leadership, and to do that, you have to trust and fine-tune your identity. Having a strong belief that God has a plan for you can alleviate your fear of being a leader or taking charge. You have the responsibility of controlling your thoughts and feelings rather than them owning you. Trusting that your identity is evolving and taking shape can empower you for the future. The Kabash Zone. Ambition can be both a driving force and a dangerous weapon for leaders. While it can lead to excellence and contributing to the greater good, it can also lead to misuse of power and pride. The ideal choice is finding the balance between the two, or what is called the Kabash Zone. Kabash, meaning to subdue and cultivate, can help leaders responsibly manage their ambition while avoiding dominant authority. By embracing this balance, leaders can gain the necessary authority to succeed without falling into the trap of distorted ambition. Leadership through responsibility. Many employees use their boss as an excuse for poor performance, but leaders must take ownership of themselves. The currency of leadership is influence, not brute force, which requires moral authority. To become a good leader, one must demonstrate good followership and take responsibility for their actions. A Lead Me plan can help achieve this by understanding one's situation, developing a vision for the future, and nurturing self-control and responsibility. Great leadership depends on cultivating influence, which is possible by monitoring motivations and emotions with curiosity, not judgment. Leaving a job for the right reasons. Sometimes, leaving a job is necessary, and it is crucial to do it for the right reasons. While unethical behavior, exploitation, and undue stress may be valid reasons for quitting a job, it is essential to ensure that your reasons are valid to avoid making a mistake. It is crucial to acknowledge that your boss does not owe you anything and commit to both the job and the boss. Your perception of the world and your attitude will influence how you view your work. Understanding the big picture will give you more faith and hope for the future and enable you to make better decisions. Struggles build character, and even if you are not a decision maker or do not agree with some decisions, remain positive. Developing perspective for great leadership. Develop a more humble perspective to gain energy, hope, and trust in the future. Aspire to be a great leader by avoiding defensiveness, reducing selfish pride, and cultivating critical thinking skills. Connect the dots, foresee problems, and avoid big mistakes by thinking critically rather than being critical. Be truthful with love, avoid complacency and naivety, and work toward the greater good. The power of ownership. Coveting leadership roles is driven by the misconception that it entails control. However, true leadership is about ownership, which involves taking charge of a task that no one else wants to do. the person closest to a problem is more likely to have the solution. Failing to own a task leads to passivity, which is detrimental to one's growth and potential. Being proactive and offering practical solutions helps to gain recognition and authority. Waiting to be in charge without taking risks or failing hinders one's ability to handle leadership positions. Millennials, in particular, have been conditioned to fear failure due to the trend of positive affirmation. Even as a leader, it is vital to remember that failures are essential in fostering growth. Ultimately, true success as a leader comes from believing in one's identity and the potential that accompanies it. Challenging the status quo. Real leaders are not afraid to challenge the decisions made by their bosses and propose solutions to problems. However, this comes with some risk as it may be perceived as criticism. To successfully challenge your boss, put yourself in their position, and consider how they will feel about being criticized. Great leaders avoid being defensive and strive to understand the problem that needs solving. Look for solutions that can improve the situation and present them to your boss after testing them with customers. Before taking such risks, assess your relationship with your boss and put in the work to build trust. When communicating with your boss, choose your words carefully and avoid comparing your organization with better performing ones, making definitive statements, or issuing ultimatums. Remember that you are on the same team with the same desire to do great work. As a leader, focus on serving, not being served. If you are persistent in creating something great, success will come in due time. Valuing others above oneself. St. Paul's message of valuing others above oneself is about following Jesus' example of humility and servitude towards humanity. To apply this message in relationships, one must remind themselves that they work for others, not just for themselves. Instead of escalating tensions, it is important to ask what the best way to address concerns may be and challenge one's boss privately. Publicly championing bosses builds trust, and trusting them in turn leads to better decision-making and confidence. Effective communication with your boss. Learn how to approach your boss effectively, harness your emotions, and tailor your pitch to their personality in leadership style. Demonstrating humility by leading with questions and openness to others' opinions can help you achieve your goals even when faced with negative responses. Remember, the unanswered prayer or no may be a gift or just not yet. Don't strive to make changes for the sake of it, but to genuinely make things better. The transformative power of leadership. Great leaders earn respect by serving others and speaking truth to power. Jesus is an example of a leader who challenged the status quo using love and influence. To become a great leader, determine your goals and desired reputation before gaining power. Cultivate influence through love and serving others, and you can lead even when not in charge.
Clay Scroggins' insightful book dismantles the misconception that leadership is entirely dependent on position. By fostering self-awareness, balancing ambition, and understanding the power of influence, you can lead without an executive title. Strengthen your personal identity, embracing experiences as lessons meant to build character. When working with others, ensure critical thinking replaces complaining, and focus on bridging gaps in communication. By embracing opportunities to solve problems and take charge of your work, you will rise above convention and lead even when you're not in charge. Remember, the true mark of a leader, as evidenced by greats like Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi, is to serve and inspire, not oppress.